Okay, so the video is now recording. I am going to share my screen, so you're only going to predominantly see myself and my presentation then as well. Just in case, I would probably recommend that everyone switch their cameras off, and that way you won't be caught up in the recording. Okay, so just before I begin, I would just like to firstly thank all the parents for attending tonight's presentation. It is quite heartwarming from a teacher's perspective to see how willing you are all to be so involved in your child's education, and it definitely does make life easier for everyone within Kishog then. And also I'd like to begin by just thanking the Parents' Council for arranging tonight's presentation. I do believe that this is a very informative night for both parents, and it's great that we can have some sort of liaison with the parents and teachers over serious issues like the CBA then in school. So thank you very much to the Parents' Council. Okay, guys, so on that note then, we're going to get stuck in, and we're going to be looking at the classroom-based assessments, or CBAs, as you're going to hear me abbreviated tonight. And this is the information night then for parents. So with us tonight, we probably have a collection of second year and third year parents. Still, this information will be valuable to both. For second year parents, it is likely that your child has either set one or will sit one or two CBAs in the coming future. And for third years, they probably only have one CBA left then, if they still haven't completed them at this point. Okay, so the classroom-based assessment has all stemmed from the new junior cycle curriculum that was implemented into the education system in Ireland in 2014. So from the turning from the junior certificate, which most people here probably would have set, which I would have set myself personally, has now transitioned to the junior cycle. So we're going to just discuss a little bit more about the junior cycle to kind of give us a bit of a background and a backdrop about the CBAs and what led to their development. So in the new junior cycle, students experience a broad and balanced curriculum. The standards and expectations for all subjects across the board still remain high. Subjects will always continue to play an important role in the junior cycle. The Department of Education and Skills will actively monitor quality across all skills. So very important, even though there has been a transition from junior certificate to junior cycle, the Department of Education and Skills is still heavily invested within the programme to maintain standards and quality all across Ireland. The State Examinations Commission, or the SEC, they will also continue to be involved in the assessment for certification, which is completed then at the end of the 3 years. So the time frame for the junior certificate and the junior cycle has remained the same. So from first, second and third year, all students will be participating in this program, and they will eventually sit a terminal exam then in the third year and in June of that third year. Our CBAs, however, they are a new approach and an aspect to that, and they will account for a certain percentage, usually ranging from 10 to 20% of their overall end of junior cycle examinations then, which they'll sit in June of third year. Okay, so just some important points to note then about the junior cycle. So what is changing? So all the students in Kishog as of last year have now experienced the junior cycle. So what every student in Kishog and every student in the country is now experiencing with this change in program from first to third year is as follows. They'll be getting a more engaging learning experience. Students have become better learners and develop a love for learning. So the ideology, and it always has been one in Kishog, is to try create a passionate learning experience for all students then. Sorry, I'm just going to pause for a second. There's just someone trying to come in to the meeting. I'm going to let them in. Okay. Sorry. There are updated subject specifications. So there has been some changes to the curriculum in some parts of different subjects, even in the way in which some of the subjects have been organized and how they can be presented by schools. So for example, geography can actually be an optional subject if it was elected to be so by a school. So it can be a short subject, or it can still remain as one of the core subjects in junior cycle geography or junior cycle. So some subjects have experienced changes in the curriculum to focus on more current topics. So I'll show you an example of that in geography in my next slide. There have been changes to assessment. This is what's going to be bringing in the new CBAs then, which we're going to be discussing tonight. So there are assessment procedures directed to support learning. So again, it still has remained the same as it was with the junior certificate, that we want to assess the learning that our students have experienced within the 3 years of the junior cert or junior cycle program. However, the way in which they will be assessed has been altered in every subject. And also there's now CBAs to show a more representation of a student's effort over a longer time frame, as opposed to just sitting one total final exam. There's now a new grading system. So no longer is there A, B's, and C's, but instead there is distinction, higher merit, merit, pass, etc. We can see those in the list now in a moment's time. There is more quality reporting back to parents and to students. So with CBAs, which are the classroom-based assessments, our primary focus for tonight, they start in second year and will assess students in second year and in third year prior to them sitting their terminal exams, so their junior cycle exams. This gives then students and parents structured feedback and an opportunity then to improve or maintain the way they are approaching school. There's now also been an emphasis on key skills then as well. So whilst students experience subjects across the junior cycle, and that could be any subject, whether it's PE, science, home ec, metalwork, geography, or history, we all are trying to implement key skills throughout the teaching in those subjects so that our students then become more well-rounded learners. So the 8 key skills are used in all subjects and aid to student development and preparation then for life. Hence what we call them key skills. They're not necessarily related to education as such, but kind of more development as a person. We'll see those in a slide in a moment's time. There is sound preparation for learning at the senior cycle and beyond. There is good prep for continual assessment, which is also a feature of the Leaving Cert. So for example, currently actually with both my Leaving Cert history and my Leaving Cert geography subjects and our students, I am actually creating my 20% project with them, writing it into our booklets. So they actually get to experience project work and reporting based on that project work from a much earlier stage now in second year and third year. And it gives them great experiences from doing this, which will then go towards the Leaving Cert when they start their projects in 5th or 6th year, respectively. Well-being. This is a central theme. If anyone follows educational news, you know that well-being hours in schools were dramatically increased to 400 hours across the board. And that is a key significant tool then for the new junior cycle program, as we want students to have a good holistic educational experience where they're enjoying all aspects of school. So promoting a culture of collaboration among students and teachers, care and health and skills then as well. Quite significantly, there's also an emphasis on sustainability. So encouraging students to become more active and aware of the world and their place in it then as well. So those 9 boxes there represent some of the more significant changes that our students and your children are now experiencing while sitting down on a day-to-day basis from 1st to 3rd year whilst they partake in the junior cycle. So the next 3 slides are just kind of showing you some of the key examples there from some of the changes of the new junior cycle. So we can see here the concept of sustainability, how we want to create our students to become well-rounded, active citizens once they leave school. And you can see here regarding sustainable tourism and how the Wild Atlantic Way helps to direct tourists into peripheral areas, so smaller towns that would not necessarily have experienced much influx of tourism and the money then generated from that. So very kind of new, different ways of examining kind of older topics, I suppose. Tourism has always been a topic within geography, but it has been kind of given a new, fresh revamping then in the kind of understanding and theme of sustainability. These are the 8 key skills. In nearly every room in Kishog, there is a poster representing the 8 key skills, and there are positive VS or points which can be awarded to students who are representing or using these key skills in class then or at home. So things like being literate, managing myself, staying well, so going back to that theme of well-being, managing information and thinking, being numerate, so we have both numerate and literate within this, which are obviously very significant key skills in life. Communicating, we can see there in yellow, so that's communicating with teachers, communicating as a part of a team while working with peers, which obviously can echo on into life, whether to go to college or whether to go working after school, and working with others, also interlinking with that then as well. So you can see the 8 key skills there, being creative, things the only one I missed out. And we try our best to encourage students to use those key skills on a daily basis, and teachers will always try to implement their teaching methodologies so that they can include those key skills then as well. So from the old junior certificate to the new junior cycle, we have a very big difference, which would be the grading. And when I used to receive my certificate for the junior cert, I would have seen A's, B's, C's, D's, E's, and hopefully no F's scattered all across it. For our students, they will now receive either a distinction, higher merit, merit, achieved, partially achieved, or not graded then as well. So you can see the new structure on the right hand side there of the screen, highlighted in blue just above it, the new grading system. So this will be one of the more dramatic changes then from the old junior certificate to the new junior cycle. Similarly, the reason this is important and significant to point out, our students are then graded using this grade descriptor from first year to third year. So whether it be a class test, whether it be a Christmas or summer exam, or whether it be the CBA, which we'll be discussing tonight, the grade that they will receive is from this list here of descriptors, distinction down to not graded. Okay, so that's our bit of backdrop basically about the transition from the junior certificate to the new junior cycle. We've seen some of the new elements that they were trying to introduce. And very significantly, one of the biggest and most dramatic changes to assessment was the inclusion then of the CBA, or the classroom-based assessment. So even if you just think about the name itself, classroom-based assessment, so it is an assessment that is based in the classroom, okay? As simple as that, really. It does what it says in the tin. So all of this will take place within the school during class hours. So each subject, students will undertake 2 CBAs facilitated by their teacher. I like that term there, facilitated, because really the teachers are not teaching during this period of time. They really are just acting as facilitators, going around helping people construct their projects, but leaving most of the onus and responsibility onto the students. The classroom-based assessments are completed by students within a defined time period in class contact time and to a national timetable. Typically, the CBA period for all subjects is 3 weeks. So they'll have 3 weeks of class time to actually create their project, and they'll have 1 hour after that then in the following week or the weeks coming to reflect upon the new skills and experiences they learned during it. So that would be their assessment task, which we will look at just a bit further down the line. In some subjects, the final CBA will culminate in a reflection report based on the learning experience of the 3-week CBA. So what is actually the purpose of the CBAs? So this is directly taken from the framework for the new junior cycle. Once it was newly developed, this is the reasoning for the CBAs. So classroom-based assessment will provide students with the opportunities to demonstrate their understanding and skills in a way which would not be possible in formal examination. So stepping outside the realm of your traditional class test or end-of-year tests, they are now getting an opportunity to express their skills and their understanding of the subject in a new way, essentially. The task will cover a broad range of activities, including oral presentations, written work of different types, practical or designing activities, artistic performances, scientific experiments, projects, or other suitable tasks. So you can see there from that really wide range list of methodologies that students, your children, will probably experience a vast array of different ways of presenting their CBA work in the different subjects that they sit. So it could just be simple as creating a detailed poster. It could be creating a podcast. It could be recording an audio video. It could be an artistic performance, etc. So there's quite a range of things that could be asked for students to present their work. But the nice thing is, for a lot of different subjects, it gives students the opportunity then to select something that they think better suits their abilities and their style of presenting. Finally, a particular purpose of the classroom-based assessment will be to facilitate developmental feedback to students. So students are getting constructive feedback from an earlier stage, from second year, third year onwards, before sitting an end exam. Students will be presented with formative feedback, helping them to improve their skills in the future, and the result will be based upon their own abilities. Now, that last part there is very significant. So it is up to a teacher and then the team of teachers within a single department to sit down and set criteria based upon individual students. So no longer is there just a set of criteria that's fixed in stone, but it will actually fluctuate based on the student. So for one student to receive a merit or a distinction might require an incredibly high standard of work, well, to their standard, and another student might just be for them to really be pushing themselves and trying to display as best as they possibly can. So come down to the student's sort of effort and ability then mixed in with it as well. So that way students are getting a better opportunity to receive better results, essentially. Okay, so when CBAs take place then, so this is a nice kind of infograph here to show you the breakdown of how the CBAs are actually orchestrated. Each subject will have 2 CBAs, one in second year and one in third year. Irish is the only subject that will have, I think, 2 CBAs taking place then in third year. So Irish is the only exception. Moving on, each CBA will be followed by a subject learning and review, or a SLAR meeting. This is nothing to do with the students. This is entirely the department then meeting. So geography department, history department, English department, etc. They will meet, bring their CBAs and sample work from their CBAs, and set the criteria then for which to grade them. This is called a SLAR meeting. Following on from this, the results of the CBA will be communicated to students and parents and kept record in the school. The results that are communicated to the students will be formative, giving a clear outline of how improvements can be made. So we're getting constructive feedback from a very early stage so that students can then develop their skills. The CBA in third year will be followed by an assessment task. So only in third year, not the second year one, that is required that the CBA is followed by an assessment task. This will be forwarded then to the State Examinations Commission in June. So typically it's actually this assessment task at the end of CBA 2 in third year that students will actually be given a percentage then based upon how well they reflect upon their work. Now, I know in Kishog that we start students practicing these reflection tasks in second year after the first CBA so that they're well experienced in these prior to sitting them in third year then as well. And then finally, students will receive the results of the terminal exam. So that's your end of year junior cycle exam in third year, which includes the assessment task, which was completed then from the CBA. So just to echo in on that final point there, just with regards to the report that students actually received then for the junior cycle, I'm going to show you an example of that, an example of how the CBAs are presented on that as well. So just to prove that the CBAs do get recognition then in the certificate. Okay, so this is kind of our first year that we can say this answer, which is in orange as above, so the yes. Does every subject have a CBA currently? So last year when I gave this talk, the answer was actually no, because some subjects were still taking that transition to the new junior cycle. However, every subject has now moved through the new junior cycle, and therefore there is a CBA in every single subject. So, subjects changing to new junior cycle has occurred in phases, but every subject has now changed. The Department of Education did this to allow teachers time to prepare for the transition and also to not to overwhelm students. Each year since 2014, a group of subjects has entered into the new junior cycle course. This means that certain subjects have instigated the CBAs already and maybe enter their second or third time doing them this year. There are still some subjects, so phase 5 was the final phase of subjects introduced into the new junior cycle, who will have their first CBA this year. So the current second years of these subjects will complete the CBA for the first time. So for example, technology subjects like woodwork, technology, or metalwork, they will now have CBAs for the first time this year. This is quite a significant point, and this is why I wanted to include it in this presentation. Although there may some subjects new to the CBAs, the teachers and the students will now be experienced, however. So the students are really going to be well endowed and well experienced with their knowledge of the CBAs at this point. Yes, woodwork has only been introduced this year, but our students would have been sitting in CBAs all across the board in different subjects. So they'll be well experienced to how they're orchestrated, how they're conducted, and what is expected then of them. Obviously, this does change from subject to subject because the presentation can be different, but they understand what is expected of them on their behalf. So the students are kind of the center of attention here, and they are leading their own educational experiences during this period in time. There's just a representation of how the phases have worked since 2014. So how do the CBA assessments take place then? So CBAs undertaking during a defined time period within a normal class contact time to a national timetable, aka that the CBA has to take place in the classroom and to our normal timetables. So for a junior cycle geography, for example, I keep referring to geography by the way because I am a geography teacher, we have 2 hours of geography each week. So we have to make sure that we get our CBA done within those 2 hours each week for 3 weeks. Students will complete one CBA in second year and one CBA in third year. The normal time frame for the CBA is 3 weeks. This includes full class time during the school week and can include some independent work at home in addition. Only students in third year will complete an assessment task. Now, they're only required to do that in third year. We would probably use it in second year just to give the students practice for the assessment task, which is sent off to the Department of Education in third year. The assessment task is a reflection and is based on what the students have learned during the CBA. They will refer to skills and competencies that they've developed during the CBA. So for 1 hour, students will sit down and handwrite a report based upon their 3 weeks and their experiences they learned during these 3 weeks. So what new skills they developed, what they believe they done right, what they believe they could improve upon if they were to do it again, etc. So details of the classroom-based assessment are set out in the assessment guidelines for each subject and short course. This would have been delivered to us from the Department of Education and Skills. Teachers would choose classroom-based assessment tasks based on the assessment guidelines. So albeit we might be allowed to have some say in which and how they're going to be presented to us, the structure of the CBAs is fixed by the Department of Education and Skills. So Kishogue Community College second year geography students, for example, they will be doing the exact same CBA as LCC students in Lucan would be doing in second year geography in their school. So it's all the same across the board and across Ireland. The CBA can include group work, or the CBA can be an individual task. This will be determined by the subject's assessment guidelines. So some subjects require group work, some require individual work, and that varies from subject to subject. Features of quality national standards are described for each classroom-based assessment and can be found on the Junior Cycle website. Basically, what this means is the expectations for each subject CBA, how they're going to be graded between a distinction, higher merit, etc. They are actually outlined for teachers prior to the CBA commencing. So before I even sit down to correct the CBAs for my own class, I will already be given a set of criteria from the Department of Education saying this is what would be credited towards a distinction, this would be your higher merit, etc. Okay, so how do we then ensure quality and fair marking that eliminates bias then amongst teachers? So the schools will organise SLAR meetings. These are subject learning and assessment review meetings. In the meetings, teachers will compare their assessment of students' work and ensure a common approach across each department that aligns to the national standards. So 4 teachers from the same department, or 3 teachers, or it could be 5 teachers from the same department, will all sit down. They will bring examples of work that they believe represent either merit, higher merit, distinction, etc., all different categories. And they will then sit down and have a structured review and debate then about which piece of work belongs to what descriptor. Essentially, then we're ensuring that there's no teacher bias and that the students are getting a more fair result then based upon their ability. So in a case, where a CBA is in a group work format, this is kind of important to note, each member of the group can be awarded a different descriptor depending on their group participation. So what that means is, irregardless of the end result, the project that they produce, it could be fantastic, it could be description or sorry, it could be a distinction, sorry, grading. However, a student within that group may only receive a merit or maybe below that, because that it would be dependent on the amount of work that they put in then to the project. So albeit a group work format can be undertaken by teachers and is required in some subjects, there is specific roles that each student must play, and if they do not live up to those roles, they can reduce their grading. Similarly, if a project, say for example, was to receive a merit grade, the end result was only a merit, a student within that group could actually receive a higher grade than that because they put in a significant amount of work. So this is just, again, ensuring that individuals will still get a fair result and a fair grade. This is a SLAR. So this is more related to teachers. I did decide to include this slide. If anyone would care to look back on it, this will be uploaded to the school's website, as will this live lecture. But I will not talk through it because this is more specific for teachers. But if parents just wanted to understand a bit more about the approach teachers take to ensure this fair quality of assessment, this slide here would describe that for you. Okay, so just to break it up a little bit, I decided this year just to try and include 2 examples of what CBAs might look like. So this was from Home Ec, and there is examples from 2nd year CBA and a 3rd year CBA. So the 2nd year CBA was the stitching, and you can see that here in the center photo. So the t-shirt with love written on it, or stitched to it. That was hand stitched then by a 2nd year student, and a fantastic job, as you can see. And then very appetizing there on both sides of the middle picture, we can see food cooked then by students. So we have macaroni and cheese there on the right hand side, and chicken skewers, and a fruit cocktail then as well. So it's, again, this is just to represent the variations in what the assessments might require. Some subjects might be as simple as just having a poster being created. Some might require cooking food, stitching, creating podcasts, as I discussed, creating animated videos, whatever it might be. Again, this could come down to the individual subject's requirements from the Department of Education or to what the teacher decides to do. Anyone who's on the school's Twitter page, you might have seen this being uploaded there very recently. So this is actually from the junior cycle metalwork 2nd year CBA. So this is created by 2nd year students, which is incredible. And this is the bionic hand then. So I'll just play this for you. I think there's music with it. I'm not sure if the music will play out to use, but you can even just see from the visuals, it's quite impressive. And there's a strong chance there could have been a bit of lag there as well with that video. But if you want to have a better look at it, it is up on the school's Twitter account. So there's just some good examples then of what sort of variety our students might be expected to create then during these CBAs. Okay, so this is very significant then for 3rd year students. So this is the assessment task, and this is where the percentage then of the CBA will actually be gathered. So in most subjects, the assessment task is rewarded 10% then of the final junior cycle grade. So this is the reflection document they create after the CBA. It's quite significant. So it's worth 10% of the final grade in a subject. The assessment task will be completed in class again under the supervision of a teacher. And will be sent to the SEC, to the Examinations Commission, for marking along with the script for the subject in the state certified examination, aka the assessment task that they write up based upon the 3-week learning experience of the CBA will be taken by the teacher, stored in a secure environment, and then will be put in with that student's script as it's sent out to the Department of Education with their junior cycle exam. It may require the students to demonstrate an understanding of knowledge and skills developed during the second classroom-based assessment. So really, it is just a good reflection on their whole experience. As I discussed before, what new skills they may have acquired, what experiences they enjoyed the most, what things they think they probably could have improved upon or would do differently if they were to redo it again, so on and so forth. The more reflective you can be, both critically and praising, the better for your student or for your child. So, the assessment task continued on then. Will students practice the assessment task before they are expected to complete one in third year? Seeing as this is going to count for 10%, perhaps even 20% in some subjects. Will they be doing one in the school beforehand? Yes. So students are expected to complete a reflection task in second year after the very first CBA. This will act as a practice run for students and also then for teachers alike. We can then give students constructive feedback based on their reflection task and allow them the ability to improve upon their reflection moving into third year, and then we'll give them the opportunity to get the highest result coming from the assessment task. So this is what, if we have third year parents, you will receive in September coming, and second year parents, September the year after. This would be the junior cycle certificate. So that's what it's going to look like there. Just going to go back a slide just to show you the criteria then. So grades in the CBAs then are awarded based on features of quality, which differ for each subject. So this is what will be worked out upon within the department following SLAR meetings. So there are no corresponding marks. There's no percentages and there's no A, B, and C. As we discussed, the new junior cycle uses the descriptors distinction, merit, etc. For our CBAs, they're put into a very similar descriptor, and it's into expectations then essentially. So again, this is going to be solely based upon the student's expectation as an individual. I really like this because you're able to give a fairer grade to students based upon their own ability then. So for example, there are 4 ways in which CBAs can be awarded then. You can receive an exceptional grade, above expectations, in line with expectations, and yet to meet expectations. So again, the fact that we're using the terminology of expectation, we're solely depending on the person as an individual or the student as an individual. So giving them a fairer result, and it's not in comparative to anyone else or what the standard of the class was, just solely based upon them as an individual. So students equipped with the features of quality from the beginning of their CBAs. So we will actually give our students this breakdown and criteria of what is expected for an exceptional project, above expectation, in line with expectation, and yet to meet expectation before they even begin the CBAs. So they'll know what standard they have to create and what level of effort they have to put in to achieve a certain grade. We do this so they're familiar with how they will be marked and what is expected to achieve their desired grade then. So just to clarify for you, the junior cycle then, the actual subjects will receive from the descriptor line of distinction, higher merit, etc. And the CBAs then will receive from the descriptor line of exceptional, above expectation, etc. We'll see this on the report now. So this is what we call the junior cycle profile of achievement. Every junior cycle student will receive this. So every parent who's in this talk now tonight will eventually receive this document. Yes, so it is. I'm not sure if that question has only just come in now, but just looking at the question from the chat bar there, that yes, even with the junior cycle still being cancelled, all junior cycle students will still receive a profile of achievement. So they still will get a certificate. So the junior cycle profile of achievement is the certificates students receive at the end of the 3 years. On it, they will receive their final grade for each subject. So again, this would be distinction, higher merit, etc. They will then receive the grading for each year's CBA in each subject. So if we look over here, if you can see which is where my mouse is based, it has the classroom-based assessments here and the grading for those. So you can see there, physical education yet to meet expectations, artistic performance in line with expectations, coding in line with expectations, etc. So there will be 2 grading descriptors on the junior cycle profile of achievement then for each student. So it gives them a greater opportunity then to achieve essentially on this certificate. Perhaps if the examinations didn't go their way in June and they were not happy with their grades from that, the CBAs will then reflect their effort that they did put in class. So they can get an excellent result there with exceptional work or above expectation, etc. So it kind of gives them the opportunity, more of an opportunity to succeed and feel good about themselves. There will actually also be recognition for their extracurricular work in the school. This is called other areas of learning. And you can see that in the bottom right-hand box there. So this can be achievements in sports, achievements in extracurricular activities. Maybe they were a part of the school musical. Maybe they won a certain end of year award, or maybe they were involved in something like green skills, etc. This is an unbelievable new addition, I think, to the junior cycle profile of achievement, because it again reminds the students of their major successes outside the realm of just exams, etc. So it shows them more of a well-rounded individual, as all of our students and children are. Just kind of a zoomed in version just to represent for you the 2 different descriptors that they'll see. So again, the subjects, they're receiving the descriptor of distinction, higher merit, etc. And the classroom-based assessments will be using the exceptional, in line with expectations, above expectations, etc. So again, giving our students more of an opportunity to succeed then and have a more well-rounded then junior cycle profile of achievement certificate. Okay, so I just thought I'd include these 3 slides just so parents can come back to for a point of reference then. In the yellow and orange, they represent the upcoming CBAs for different subjects then. I took this directly from the school calendar and I was able to screenshot it and attach it to my slides. So we can see there, for example, on the 1st of March, so this Monday, the 2nd year engineering CBA will be taking place, and that will be conducted for 3 weeks. So you can access this by looking at the calendar function then on VSware. So that would be March, CBA key dates, April the same. So we can see after Easter holidays, for example, the 2nd year CBA for history commences. That will last for 3 weeks. And then May then as well. So I'll leave these slides again. I will upload them, to the school's website, as will this live lecture be uploaded. And you can look back to these key dates then if your child is sitting a CBA in second or third year in those subjects then. Okay, so nearing the end of the presentation then, we have COVID, the issue of COVID. So unfortunately, a lot of the CBAs that were due to take place after Christmas were not able to be conducted, depending on the department's selection to do so or not. Some CBAs took place at home, done online remotely, and some were delayed. So some junior cycle subjects have opted to wait until we're back into school to conduct the CBAs. So you might experience, or you might check in with your child when they do eventually go back to school in April, and just continuously ask them when they're going to be, or if they are sitting a CBA in any topics then. And based off tonight's lecture, that you might be able then to be a bit more clued in and maybe offer some help, in particular when it comes to organizing their work. So that would be this year with regards to COVID. We might experience a bit more of an influx of more CBAs being conducted after April than they normally would be due to the previous lockdown. And in regards to next year's CBAs, the Department of Education Skills has not yet released the information regarding whether they have to be conducted or not. There is a possibility that some subjects and some year groups may not have to conduct a CBA next year, but teachers, as soon as they are informed, will let parents and students then know as well. So really that is a bit unknown to us all at the moment, but hopefully we will know more about this in the coming weeks then. So what can parents play? What role can you guys play then in helping your child when a CBA is being conducted? So research has shown that parental engagement in children's learning at home makes the greatest difference to student achievement. The number one greatest achievement or improvement to student achievement is parental involvement, believe it or not. This is taken from a number of different research reports. So all we ask is that you discuss your children's homework, discuss their reports, discuss any constructive feedback they may have received from the CBA or the assessment tasks, and discuss the assessments then with them yourselves. There's no harm that you were able to sit down with them, ask them what the CBAs they're doing in whatever subject it might be, and see if you're able to brainstorm with them and help them to improve their project then at home, that they can go into school the next day and approach it with a more structured, organized outlook or approach. We would also ask you to consider going to the library and getting books for your children to improve their literacy skills. This is just a massive whole school approach that has been undertaken for the last 2 or 3 years in Kishog, where we're trying to promote literacy and more reading for students at home, as there is a direct link between improved literacy skills and improved educational experiences. So I think anyone who is an avid reader here can testify to that. And it's something I'm even trying to do better myself. I've never really been the world's biggest reader, but I've been trying to read a few more books this year, and kind of remains one of my kind of goals for 2021. And I think that is it pretty much. So there are some useful links to the new junior cycle, to the NCCA, and to the CBAs and wellbeing in the junior cycle. Again, the slides will be uploaded, so if you want to navigate yourselves to those websites, they might provide a bit more information about the junior cycle and the CBA then for you. And yeah, finally, guys, I can open it up to any questions. We can just use the raise your hand icon there. If anyone has a question, I can ask it then. You can turn on your audio and ask it, or you can type it into the chat bar as well if you want to do that. So we can kind of operate from both. Oh, thank you very much. So, Dan, that's very nice of you. I'll give it another few seconds just to see if people want to ask a question. And if not, then that would be a wrap for tonight then. Okay, well, look, thank you very much for everyone for logging in. I do understand that, 7 o'clock and even after a day's work, it can be quite difficult to tune into something like this and listen for a full hour. So thank you very much to everyone. I really do appreciate you coming. Just seen one question, sorry. It is 10% for the assessment task and 90% for the exams. And yeah, that is correct, Alicia, I think. Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much, guys. I will log it off there. And I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.